Welcome everybody to Wellbeing Mastery Show. I am Monica and I have created the show to help you step onto the path of reclaiming your true health and well-being, no matter where you are at right now. I have gathered outstanding experts, teachers, mentors, and healers to guide you to connect with that healing power of your own body and take back your health and your life. So let's get on it. And I want to tell you today's guest is an absolute honor to have, and he's going to change your life just today. I feel like it's going to happen. So let me introduce you to David Essel. And David is a #1 best-selling author, counselor, master coach, life coach, international speaker, and minister. And his mission is to positively affect 2 million people or more every day in every area of life, regardless of their current circumstances. Wow. I mean, that is a really profound, incredible mission. So I cannot wait to have David come on and share his gold with us. Beautiful. Well, welcome, David. Thank you so much for being here. I am so honored, and I thank you so much for just coming on to share with all our viewers.
Well, just our email exchanges back and forth, Monica. I knew we were in the right place working together, and I'm excited to be with you. So thank you. Thank you for the introduction. And I'm ready to rock with you and your gang.
Let's rock. Okay, beautiful. So, I want to start with your own story. How did you get to this place that you are right now, with this amazing energy that you have, with that service that you do to so many people? Tell us about that.
Monica, what's so great about my story is exactly what your show is all about. I had never envisioned the life I created. I am not kidding you. I had never had any idea that I could do the things I've done. I was an athlete in high school, an athlete in college. I became a sports psychologist. I worked with athletes in the 80s, starting in the early 80s up until 1990. That was a natural progression, right? To go from being an athlete to wanting to help other athletes. And that's the only part of my life that was scripted well. Okay. The rest of the stuff that's happened that's allowed me to do the work that I'm doing was never scripted. I have no background in television, and yet I've hosted television shows for 30 plus years. I have no background in broadcast journalism or radio, and yet I've been a international radio host for over 30 years. I have no background in journaling or writing or English, and I have 12 books out. 4 of them are #1 bestsellers. So I gotta tell you guys, even with my background in psychology, it was sports psychology. In 1990, I transferred over to the world of general counseling to work with everything in the world you can imagine. Some very deep, rough topics like helping rape survivors get back into a thriving life, helping people that have gone through bankruptcies rebuild their business, helping people that have gone through horrendous relationships, maybe more than one, finally clear up their love life. So all of those things, it was never planned, Monica. And this is the great thing about what we're talking about today. The brilliance inside each of us is usually untapped, except for about 6% of the U.S. population. One of my early mentors, Earl Nightingale, did a massive study back in the 60s. And what he found was about 6 to 7% of Americans maximize their potential in life. That's it. 6 to 7%. Right. Most of us are followers. Most of us are taking advice from others that really we shouldn't be taking advice from. And we're doing their life versus our own life. And I'll give you a great example of how my life exploded in a positive way. From 1980 until 1996, I won't mention their names because they're very popular, very well loved. And I still love these gurus that I was working underneath. But I became a parrot. Monica, I started teaching the law of attraction as if it was real. Whatever you put out from your thoughts must come back from the world. It's a bunch of crap. It's the biggest bunch of nonsense. And I was one of the leading teachers of it from 1980 to 1996. And then in 1996, I had an amazingly, I call it a gracious wake-up call from one of the most incredible people I ever interviewed. He's the founder of Transcendental Meditation. His name
Mhm.
was Maharishi Mahesh Yogi. Uh, for
Yes.
people that know of him, he's one of the greatest teachers that ever walked the earth. He's no longer here in physical form, but he's here every day in spirit. And, the Beatles, actually, in the late 50s, early 60s, he trained the Beatles on transcendental meditation. And the reason TM became so popular was because of his affiliation with the Beatles. The Beatles took TM all over the world. As a matter of fact, about 12 years ago, Paul McCartney did a free concert in Central Park in New York City just to promote transcendental meditation. That's how
Mhm.
much his life was changed. So I'm
Mhm.
interviewing the founder of Transcendental Meditation, Maharishi Mahesh Yogi. It was the 40th anniversary, 1996, the 40th anniversary of TM. And he chose our national syndicated radio show, David Essel Alive, as the only media outlet in the United States to celebrate the 40th anniversary. So we were blown away, right? Here's
Wow.
my gurus. I've been doing
Mhm.
TM since 1987, 88. So in 1996, he chooses my show to come on to celebrate the 40th anniversary. But this is what happened that blew my mind. We're on a break. And he was a hilarious little man. He had a great sense of humor. He was so deep, Monica, that I would ask him a question like, what's the purpose of our existence? He would give an answer that was so out of my realm of understanding that I would say, Maharishi, can you break that down and give me an answer that I can understand? And he loved it. He loved my honesty and humility. And
Mhm.
then he would back up and go, "Oh, David, sure." And he would give a story and I would get it. But we're on a break. And he says, David, he says, you really love positive thinking, don't you? And I said, "Oh
Mhm.
my God, Maharishi, it means everything for me." He goes, "And you must love affirmations." I said, "Oh, I live by affirmations, the law of attraction, affirmations, they're everything to me." He goes, "Tell me your favorite affirmation." And I said, "Oh, I'll tell you, I've been saying this since 1980 for 16 years every morning. I am David Essel, a child of God, happy, healthy, and sober today." And he gave this big smile and he said, "Is all of that true?"
Right.
And I lied.
Yeah.
And I said,
Mhm.
"Yes." And he said, "Listen, as long as your affirmation is based on your current reality, then you're in integrity. But if your affirmations are saying things that aren't true, they're not in your reality, then you're out of integrity." And Monica, it was mind blowing
Mhm.
because a couple days later, I realized the great error I made in lying to him. I was not sober. So, was I a child of God? Was I happy
Mhm.
and healthy? Well, you could say so. Was I sober?
Mhm.
Hell no. And
Mhm.
so I had been using an affirmation that was a lie. Now, for a lot of people, they do the same thing, but they'll say, "I am a millionaire.
Mhm.
I earn
Mhm.
$1 million a year. I have homes in Bali." It's all lies. So
Mhm.
what happens is we're feeding ourselves a bunch of BS. And I don't know anyone. Now, listen, as I mentioned before, I've been a TV host, a radio host, all this other kind of crap for 43 years now. Monica, I have never met a doctor that became a doctor through vision boards or affirmations.
Right.
I never met a millionaire that became a millionaire through vision boards and affirmations. I've never met a bodybuilder that became a bodybuilder, female or male, with vision boards or affirmations. I have never met anyone that
Mhm.
accomplished massive things through the law of attraction if they didn't work their butt off, take risks, fail, fall on their feet,
Mhm.
fall on their face, get back up. I can tell you millions of stories about Deepak Chopra, Wayne Dyer, Susie Orman that are not pretty stories, that
Mhm.
those guys had huge failures, addictions out of
Mhm.
the wahoo. I mean, we're talking about people that I have the utmost of respect in that had to work their tail off to get the respect, the success that they received. So, one of the things that I did in 1996 was after this interview with Maharishi, and I felt so bad. I had to look in the mirror and say, "You have been a parrot. You've been teaching what popular teachers teach. You've been teaching what your popular gurus have taught you, but it's never worked for you, David. You have not once made $1 million through a vision board. You didn't get sober via vision boards or affirmations. So what we have to do, Monica, in my opinion,
Mhm.
is we have to look at the results. And I want to quote Buddha here because this is powerful. This is what Buddha says. He says, do not live your life according to popular teachers' rules or
Yes.
laws. Do not live your life according to your guru's laws and rules until you've put them into your own life and you've seen them
Mhm.
as truthful and reality for you. But see, most of us don't do that. If you look at all the people that are following the secret, the law of, and oh my God, someone just put out a secret number 2, which makes me want to puke on my computer screen right now.
Don't do that.
I won't. I won't.
Just
Come
kidding.
on. We are being
Yeah.
sold a bunch of crap. It's snake oil salesman stuff. It's not reality. And I don't know anyone that's created great success in life by sitting and thinking about great success, Monica.
Yes, and what it brings to me, it's yes, we have to create, our mind is powerful. Okay, I'm not going to deny that.
Right.
But on the other hand, we have to respect we're human beings and we live in reality, right? We have to do things, work on things, and just like you said, I mean, we can fall down on the face and then
Yeah.
get up. And it's really a gist of being a human being. To me, it's a beautiful adventure and a beautiful journey that we get on, not just by imagining being millionaires, but actually putting work into that.
Yeah.
So,
And
yeah.
for our people that are with us today, if you have an affirmation that says I earn $1 million a year, let's break it down. That's
Mhm.
$83,000 a month. Let
Mhm.
that sink in. Let that sink in, because it's so easy to fall into the trap of the secret and the law of attraction
Mhm.
and start to come up with all these nonsensical affirmations. Well, how are you going to make $83,000 a month? About 3% of the US population makes $1 million a year. So,
Mhm.
do you have the grit, the determination, the persistence, the gift, the talent? Are you willing to risk and fail 1,000 times? Are you willing to go and ask for money? Are you going and willing to ask for help? Are you going and willing to ask people to be your mentor? I mean, these are the steps that people that make $1 million a year do. Like, they have no shame. They're humble. They're vulnerable.
Yeah.
They'll risk, they'll fail. But it's so easy, Monica, to get sucked into the vortex of what we call fantastical thinking, which is, oh, I put my thoughts out into the universe. They must respond in kind. My Lord, if it does happen, it's called a miracle. And I hope miracles happen to you.
Mhm.
Miracles have happened in my life. I've had physical healing miracles, and they do happen. But for most of us, if we want to be successful, tap into your God-given intuition. Tap into your God-given gifts and talents. Take those gifts and talents, blow them up, make them magical. Work
Mhm.
hard on what you've been given naturally. Monica, some people are great interviewers. Some people suck at interviewing, but they're great guests. So whatever you're really good at, like, I have people that'll come to me and ask me to train them to be a radio host, a TV host, a podcast
Mhm.
host. They have that desire and they have some
Mhm.
skill, but they're not quite sure how to get there. Look for people, ask for help,
Mhm.
invest money into your own personal growth to maximize your gifts and talents, not what someone else is teaching, but what you can teach. Because
Mhm.
when you take something you have passion for and you put your own energy and your own fingerprint, thumb mark on it,
Mhm.
no one else can teach money like you, weight loss like you, relationships like you, attitude like you. If you have a passion to be a teacher or an entrepreneur, no one can do it like you. And just because other people have done it before in the same field you're in doesn't mean you can't be a smashing success if
Very
you're
unique.
putting in the work.
Yes, beautiful, beautiful. And let's take it back to health, because all of it, I have a feeling, you help people in all different areas of life: health, relationships, money, right? Let's take it back to health and how. So we have that incredible power of intuition that we tap into, and then we have to take action and ask for help. This is what I'm getting from you, right?
Yes. Yes.
So tell us, like, if somebody is still struggling, with their body, or maybe they're struggling with addictions, because I know this is something huge that you're working with. Um, what are the first steps? And they want, they understand what you're saying, but they wondering, like, so now, from how do I make that first step? I don't know how to connect with my power, with my intuition.
So, when we look at addiction or weight gain or anything like that
Mhm.
people have been carrying for a while, and during the pandemic, the addiction rates have gone up
Yeah.
dramatically, as most people
Yeah.
know. I mean, it's really sad to see the amount of
Mhm.
suffering that's going on right now. The very
Mhm.
first step, but it's the first step, but it doesn't carry any weight in regards to change in our lives. Is pure 100% honest assessment of our own
Mhm.
reality in writing,
Mhm.
Monica. It's got to be in writing.
Mhm.
That means writing down every drink that you have, every
Mhm.
ounce of food that you have, everything that you drink that is not alcohol related that we write down. Because the first
Mhm.
comment I made was about alcohol. If you're struggling with alcohol, write down every freaking drink and measure it. If it's a
Mhm.
glass of wine, it should be 4 ounces. That's what one glass of wine is. Most people have 8 ounces as their glass
Mhm.
of wine. If you're drinking a hard liquor, it should be one shot. Measure it.
Mhm.
So the awareness is step one. Get on the scale. How much do you weigh compared to 2 or 3 or 5 years ago? Like, write it down. Everything, in my opinion, Monica, when we're trying to make lifestyle changes, begins with awareness in writing, not awareness in the brain, but awareness in
Mhm.
writing.
Mhm.
As an
Mhm.
example, a woman came to me because her boyfriend said he was going to leave her if she didn't quit smoking. So she's sitting in front of me. I work with people via Zoom, Skype, and in my office in Florida. She's sitting in the office, and I said, "Well, how many cigarettes do you smoke a day?" And she said, 7. I
Mhm.
said, "Okay, well, listen, I've been in the world of addiction for over 30 years. We can help you with 7 cigarettes a day. Then, even though there's a nicotine addiction, there's a psychological addiction that goes with it. There's an emotional addiction. So we'll work through it all. But the very first thing I need you to do is over the next 7 days is I need you to write down on paper every cigarette you smoke for 7 straight days, and then bring all your data in." So she comes in the next week and she hands me her notebook, and there was only 3 pages filled out. On every page, it was 21 cigarettes.
Wow.
So
Mhm.
her mind was not in
Honesty.
reality. Her mind said what she wanted to believe, not what was truth. So I
Mhm.
said to her, "Why did you stop writing after three? You're 3 times what you thought you were smoking. Why did you stop at day 3?" She goes, "I didn't want to see it anymore."
Mm.
And that is a
Yeah.
lack of reality, right? So I said to her, "If I can help you, but you have to write every day. I can help you, but you're going to have to be honest." So step one is awareness in writing. Step two is
Mhm.
honesty in your awareness in writing.
Mhm.
And then step
Mhm.
three is, and this is so crucial for people to know, you only need a 10% desire to change any
Mm.
major habit. So many people say, "Well, I guess I'm just not ready to change," or "Let me wait till the kids get out of school," or "Let me wait
Mhm.
till." No, 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 no. You only need a 10% desire. So awareness in writing, honesty in writing, and then a 10% desire to change. The last step is you have to hire an accountability partner. I'm going to be
Mhm.
honest with you. If you think that you've had a 2,
Mhm.
10, 20, 30-year challenge with food, nicotine, alcohol, relationships, whatever, and you're going to change on yourself, we're all dead wrong. I'm sitting here, proof. I had a 30-year addiction to alcohol and cocaine. I started at the age of 12.
Wow. Mhm.
I could have never shattered this 30-year addiction by myself. And I'm a freaking addiction counselor, Monica, and I could
Mhm.
not get it
Yes.
out of my system myself. I had to go to a treatment center. I hired an addiction counselor for 52 straight weeks. It's been a very long time. And to tell you how powerful and deep the work has been, both my mom and dad passed away in the last 12 months. And not at
Mhm.
one time, and I was very close to both of them. I was very fortunate that I had built
Mhm.
very loving, deep relationship once
Mhm.
I got out of college. Up into my college years, I was not a great son. When I got out of college, I rebounded with my mom and dad, and we had an incredible relationship until they passed. But they were sick in hospice for 4 years. Both
Yeah.
of them were sick for 4 years. At
Mhm.
not one point during that time did I ever even think about having a drink. Now, you go back
Yeah.
years ago, I didn't think
Wonderful.
I'd ever not drink. I didn't think it was possible. I had given up hope on getting sober because I had tried so many times
Mhm.
on my own and it never worked.
Mhm.
I committed myself to an outside accountability partner. I found, Monica, and I say this without bragging,
Mhm.
this
Mhm.
incredible inner power that David Essel never knew he had to walk away from 2 incredibly intense addictions. So I know that anyone can do it. I really didn't know if it was going to work, but I put
Mhm.
in and I've never looked back. And the same can happen to everyone with us today.
Yes, beautiful. You know what it brings me to? So it wasn't just you tapping into some sort of, like, yes, I'm going to do it. And we're so culture, like, our culture is telling us, like, you got to rely on yourself, you're gonna be the strong one, like, it's all your fault, create your affirmations and, like, let's get on it. But then we fail. And I feel what it brings us to is relationships. You mentioned you got to have somebody to have your accountability coach, or somebody who's really, helping you push through that when you're
Yeah.
in that depth of, addiction, or pain, or anything that you're, that's ruining your life. So tell us, like, how do let's talk more about it. How do relationships come into place here?
Well, right now, so the American
Mhm.
Psychological Association a
Yeah.
couple months ago came out with a study that was absolutely mind-blowing and saddening at the same time. When it comes to relationships, the survey asked, how is
Mhm.
your marriage now compared to in the past? And 80% of respondents said their marriage was in the worst shape ever.
Mhm.
Now that's
Mhm.
today. That
Mhm.
survey was 3 months ago. We're talking about today. I
Yeah.
wrote a book a couple years ago called Love and Relationship Secrets That Everyone Needs to Know. In that
Mhm.
book, I had written that according to our statistics, 80% of relationships in this country stink. They suck. And yet we're so codependent, Monica. We
Yeah.
will stay in relationships for 2 years, 20 years, 40 years, 50 years that are horrendous. They're all
Mhm.
codependent relationships. We're not happy. Our partner's not happy, but it's easier to stay in dysfunction than to leave and to be alone. So a lot of people stay just so that they have a partner and they can say, at least I have someone to at home. At least I have someone maybe to have sex with every once in a while. In
Mhm.
some of the terrible relationships that I work with, there's not even that benefit, for gosh sake. So relationships, we really need to look with, once again, within, right? Everything's within, and take responsibility. If you're in a current relationship that sucks, I'm going to give you an exercise. What's your role? What is it that you're doing or not doing that has added to the dysfunction of your relationship? There's not one relationship that I've ever
Mhm.
seen that I've been in or that I've worked with that both people didn't have a role at some point. And at some point it might just be that I stayed. My role is I saw this insanity 2 years ago, 20 years ago, but I stayed. Well, then that's your role, though. It's called
Mhm.
codependency.
Yeah.
If you don't have the strength to go in and get help even on your own. I'm working with this couple right now, and I was working with this couple, and the woman decided that she doesn't even think she wants to save the marriage. So she quit working. The husband decided he wants to keep working, which is so cool. There's so many men now reaching out for help with
Mhm.
intimacy, with
Yes. Yes.
relationships. Oh, Monica,
Mhm.
it's incredible the change we're seeing, in the last 3 to 4 years. So he came in. I just worked with him this morning, and he came in and he sat down, and I said, well, I'm not sure if your wife's going to continue. He said, yeah, she's on the fence. She'll probably stop. I said, what would you like to do? He goes, oh my gosh. He goes, listen, David, you said something to both of us the very first day. You said, do the work, because you're either going to turn the marriage around or you're
Mhm.
going to prepare yourself for your next
Oh, yeah.
relationship
Yes.
to be so much healthier. So you
Yes.
can't lose. The only way
Mhm.
you lose is staying in a dysfunctional relationship and doing nothing. But if you go out and get help, even if your partner won't, you'll be preparing yourself to save the relationship possibly, or preparing yourself for the next one to be much more sane.
That's, what, it's amazing, it's beautiful. And what's shaping up for me is that, that connection with the inner power or healing power. It's not about your airy fairy affirmations, positive thinking, like this and that, I'm powerful, I'm gonna do that. No, it's about, like you said, first step, be honest. Write it down, see what's really happening in your life, be it in terms of, what you're eating, what you're addicted to, what are your habits, what are your relationships, what is your role in the relationship. Write it down so you can see it in front of you, right? Be
That's right.
honest. Understand where you are at right now, and that's where the power comes in.
Oh my God, Monica, a lot of people don't want to do this work because they're going to
Mm-hmm.
look on their paper or on their computer and go, oh my
Very.
God, I don't want to see that that's my
Yeah.
role in this crazy
Mm-hmm.
marriage, right? Like a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people won't do the writing, but I promise you, if you do the writing, It will open up certain avenues you may not want to look at, you
Mhm.
may not want to admit, but that's the power. That's where your power is. When you can be that honest with yourself,
Yeah.
you have the opportunity to move mountains. It's when we're in denial, justification, rationalization. Well, it's not really me, it's them. And I really can't control this alcohol
Mhm.
because I have genetics, it's in my family. All that BS excuses. Hell no. As a matter of fact, just really quickly, genetics does not cause alcoholism.
Yeah.
It's the biggest
Mhm.
bunch of crap in the world. And if it was, and I can prove it right now, if genetics was the cause of alcoholism, the only cure would be medically based. You'd
Mhm.
have to do something with surgery, medications,
Mhm.
genome changes. You'd have to do something
Mhm.
really crazy. It has
Mhm.
nothing to do with genetics. Now, once you start drinking, if you have the gene for alcohol, and this was in my case, I have a bunch of family in my family, a bunch of people who are alcoholics. So we know the gene is there, but the gene cannot be activated unless you drink. So if
Mhm.
you don't drink, there's no genetic link.
Yeah.
And this is crucial. Millions of people have gotten sober without any medical help at all. So we know that addictions like alcoholism are not caused by our genetics. And this is where we get a chance to take full responsibility. If
Yes.
you go to certain groups and
Mhm.
meetings and certain studies and books, you'll see them telling you that it is a disease, that once you're an alcoholic, you're always an alcoholic. And it's a bunch of crap, Monica.
Mhm.
I sit here today
Disempowering.
telling you that, if I can go through the death of my mom and dad that took
Mhm.
4 years from both of them to die, who I loved very deeply, without
Mhm.
ever thinking about having a drink or snorting Coke, it has nothing to do with genetics. It's called doing the work.
Yeah, exactly. That's powerful. Thank you so much for mentioning genetics, because we often, that's another way to like blame somebody else or something else. Like, it's not my fault, it's in my family, you
That's right.
know? I
That's
don't
right.
have to take responsibility, but where does it leave you? Basically just enslaved to that code that you can't change. And that is truly disempowering. So I really appreciate you mentioning that. And
Yes.
yeah, and you also talk, I think this is kind of to follow through with the follow up on what you're already talking. You talk about daily rituals. And yeah, can you tell us more about that?
Oh, Monica, I think this is probably one of the massive keys that we can start to change for ongoing success. First thing in the morning, I encourage all my clients that there's no electronics for the first 60 minutes, the first
Mhm.
hour of the day. There's no phones, there's no texting, there's no social media, there's no news, there's no stock market reports, there's no weather reports, there's nothing. Okay. This first 60 minutes should be the most powerful ritualistic 60 minutes of your day. How you start your day is crucially important. So if you start with a news feed, you start with some kind of nonsense arguing on social media, you start with the stock markets that bums you out. Well, guess how your day is going to go, right? So instead, the first 60 minutes. Now, as you advance, I recommend it should be the first 2 hours of every day. But let's start with the first 60 minutes. Sit in a comfortable place. If you want to light a candle, have your coffee,
Mhm.
have your tea, have your water with apple cider vinegar or whatever it is that is
Mhm.
your gig in the morning, right? Take that 60 minutes and go within. Maybe you want to journal, meditate, pray. Maybe you want to work on forgiving yourself for something that you did or forgiving someone else for something they did. But take that first 60 minutes and allow yourself to breathe back into life. You've been asleep, you've been in an altered state for 6, 7, 8 hours. We want to slowly integrate you into the world. There's no need to rush. People that get up and are rushing, their alarm goes off at 7 and they're rushing to get to work at 9. That's the exact opposite of what we teach. The first ritual should be an early morning wake up. And I have to tell you something interesting, Monica. This
Mhm.
is kind of funny. I am not a morning person at all. Okay. Never. Up until I got sober, I was never a morning person. And even after I got sober, I didn't want to become one. But I remember talking to several, like the late Wayne Dyer was a good friend of mine. And I used to ask him questions like, what's the most special time of the day? Now, for him, it was 4 a.m. And then I would talk to some other monks and lamas that I know, and they would say the same thing: 3 o'clock, 3:30. I could never do that. But what I found worked for David Essel was either a 5 or a 6 o'clock wake up, where I have now 2 hours that I spend in my courtyard doing my meditation, doing my prayers, doing my journaling. There's so much, there's something that we refer to as a minister called the still small voice within. Now, that still small voice within to me can be God. It can be maybe people that have passed on that were very close to you. It could be the spirit world. It could be angels. It could be whatever it is to you, right? But when you quiet yourself down with no noise, no electronic disruptions, you're able to hear messages from within that you will not hear with radio on, TV on, social media on. They're obliterated. Get comfortable. Now, at first, it could be hard for a lot of people. Sitting and not doing anything for 60 minutes can seem like a year. I can only tell you this. You can baby step it if you want and start with 10 or 15 minutes. But what we've found in 43 years of doing this work, it's that when you jump in with full commitment right away, is that you give yourself the best chance to not only be successful for the rest of your life with this first hour with no electronics, but you also give yourself something else, Monica, and this is so key. You give yourself an opportunity to fall in love with you, to fall in love with your potential, to fall in love with your current reality. You can sit in gratitude and say, look at what I'm doing. I'm proving that I love myself by giving the first hour to me, or the first hour to me and God. And if you don't believe in God, your higher power, your spiritual nature, whatever words you want to use, it doesn't matter. I once again, every day I do it. I'm in the courtyard early in the morning and I'm calling to my mom and dad. Now, my mom and dad visit me every day as cardinals. And I'm out there in the morning, and all I do is I just mentally say, Mom, Dad, I'm here for you. Whatever you want, please come by. Within 15, 20 minutes, they're there. And it's the most beautiful connection I have. And then I have connection with other animals out that are in my courtyard. I have connection with the plants, bougainvillea, hibiscus. I have all these beautiful blooming flowers and plants. I'm basically in heaven, Monica. Put myself in heaven every morning, and it proves that I love myself, that I'm willing to be without the world for the first hour of every day. It's one of the greatest signs of self-love you could ever give to yourself.
Wow, this is just truly, I mean, my heart's just like, oh my God, yes, this is where that inner power comes from again. Like, it doesn't mean that you're telling yourself things like, I'm going to be this or that. You just go inside and just appreciate what's right here and right now.
Yeah. And when I face a challenge, which I face challenges all the time.
Of course.
I'm sitting out in the morning and I'll say, hey, Mom, hey, Dad, hey, God, I'm stuck here. I don't know what to do. If you can give me some ideas, that'd be great. And within an hour or so, all of a sudden I have my notebook and I'm jotting down stuff. I didn't think about it. If you want to use the word channeled, it was channeled through me. But I did ask the question. I did ask. Now, some people would say, David, that's just your intuition. Great. If you want to say that's my intuition, I'll take that. If you want to say it's guidance from the spiritual world, I'll take that. If you want to say it's your mom and dad that have chosen to hang with you, I'll take that as well. So I'm winning no matter what words you want to use, Monica.
Yes. Wow, beautiful. Oh my goodness. I think that you just brought it all together full circle, like where we find that inner connection. And that makes no matter where we are at, we all struggle. Oh, we're human, right?
Yes.
Got to be
Yeah,
humble about it, but we can reclaim that hour in the morning, get up early and just reclaim it for yourself.
that's right.
Yes, that's a beautiful message I feel that we got getting from you. So is there something that you would like to, add to this conversation that you feel like maybe we haven't tapped into yet that feels like very important?
I believe the greatest addiction in the world today that's holding us back is the addiction called codependency. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just so the Buddha quote that I gave earlier, about only listen to the guru's words or the expert's words or the star, whoever they
Mm-hmm.
are, what do we call them these days? The influencers is the big word, right?
Right.
Um, you know, only listen to them if it works for you.
Mm-hmm.
Apply what they're teaching. If it doesn't work, move on. See,
Mhm.
that's trusting your intuition, right? That's saying, okay, it may have worked for Mary Smith to make $1 million doing this affirmation. I tried it for a week or a month or whatever her secret formula was, and it didn't work for me. So I'm glad it worked for Mary. I'm going to move on from Mary, and I'm going to find, continue to trust that intuition, put into practice what people are saying. If it doesn't work, move on. Like that is probably one of the greatest gifts you can give. But too many people stay stuck, and we call it, Monica, mass consciousness. Oh, well, my neighbor says that the law of attraction works, so I have to do what my best friend says this, my best friend said that, so I better follow the crowd, which is what I did erroneously from 1980 to 1996. And I apologize now. I've apologized in my books for misleading people. I
Mhm.
traveled all over the world telling people that all they had to do was change their thinking to change their life, and it's not true. So if you find something that you believe will work for you, try it with all of your heart and soul. Put all of your effort into it. If I don't care if it's the keto diet, the Mediterranean diet, the South Beach diet, the whatever diet, right? Like who knows what's going to work for you and your brain chemistry and body chemistry. Try it. If it doesn't work, move on. Like quickly. Don't get stuck in that vortex of, well, it's a popular guru teaching me this, or it's a popular author teaching me this. Try it on yourself.
Mm.
Get to know yourself and become that independent person that when someone says, oh my gosh, did you just read this book by this author? It's going to change people's lives. And you can say, I did read the book. I tried it. It didn't work for me. I hope it works for you. Like that's
Mm.
a solid, independent human being that's not being swayed by peer pressure and mass consciousness.
Mm. Beautiful. So empowering, David. Thank you so much for that. And I know you have something special to offer our viewers.
Oh,
Tell us more.
yeah, Monica, this is the coolest thing. And I got to go back to Dr. Wayne Dyer. The first
Yes.
time I met him and interviewed him in 1990, I said, and for people that don't know this, Wayne Dyer was massive in 1990. Okay. He was
Mhm.
just as popular in 1990 as the day he died like 4 years ago. So, he was always just such a great mentor to me and a great teacher to me. And I asked him a question, Monica. I said, Dr. Wayne, this is the first time I've had to interview you. What advice would you give me in order to really expand my reach and to help more people? And my goal
Mhm.
today is to reach 2 million people or more every day. Back then, it was a lot less. And he said, David, create a program you love and give it away for free.
Mm.
And I remember standing back going, but wait, Wayne, that means I'm giving all of my most powerful secrets. And he smiled and he said, exactly. That's the sign of an independent, confident man. And I looked at him and I couldn't believe it. So from that day to today, and I'm going to talk about our free gift today. We have been giving away stuff for years, Monica, absolutely free. And so this is what we're giving away right now. We created a program in the middle of the pandemic called Helping Americans and the World Heal. It's a
Mm.
free online program filled with tools for stress, anxiety, depression, financial challenges, relationship challenges, stress challenges. And when they sign up at talkdavid.com for Helping Americans Heal, the very first gift they receive is our number one best-selling book on positive thinking. And then every Monday, they'll get an email with interviews like this one, Monica,
Mhm.
articles. There'll be a sleep aid. We give an
Wow.
audio for sleep, an audio for meditation. You'll get a 12-month subscription to an addiction recovery magazine.
Wow.
So Helping Americans Heal is really well rounded. We're giving away 500,000 memberships. And we have huge organizations like Syracuse University is signed on. We've got massive people endorsing the program. So for everyone with us, go to talkdavid.com, sign up for Helping Americans Heal. It doesn't matter where you are in the world because it works everywhere. Get the free book and then get the tools every Monday so you can change your life now, not when all this insanity is over with, but right now.
Yeah. Wow, that's massive. I mean, what an amazing gift. I
Mm.
cannot see like how somebody would not sign up because
Yes.
yes, please go for it. Your life will be changed. Like I said, your life will be changed today by listening to David.
That's so
Thank
awesome,
you.
Monica.
Yes, my
Thank you.
life's been changed. Honestly, I feel like I have a plan in my head right now for myself. So thank you.
Fantastic.
Thank you. I so appreciate you being here and sharing with us so generously and, with such passion. And I know that, your work is helping massive amounts of people and it will reach 2 million and more. I mean, I know that. So want to thank you so much, David, for being with us today.
Monica, I have had a blast with you, and I really
Oh,
appreciate
thank
you.
you. Thank you so much. And thank you everybody for listening, for being here, for watching this interview and watching all the interviews in our show. And please tune in again because we have amazing speakers for you. And I cannot wait to see you. Take good care. Have a beautiful day, everybody.